quite expensive, so a lot of them choose to do pre's, which I would recommend.
Yeah. But, and if you do have just you get it, you mind it, you keep your eye on it at all times.
It's a very, very, very real problem.
Yeah.
And and she's, I know a number of people have had it done to them, not necessarily there, but in other places.
Yeah.
And that's all I really wanted to share.
No, and thank you, Derry. I think it's brilliant that you have, and I'm so sorry it happened. And thank God, there were no long-term physical effects at all. But I would be just as traumatised as you still are by the memory of it. It's horrific, absolutely horrific, and it is a millisecond in which it happens, an absolute millisecond. So that let this hour just be a kind of, a reminder of this threat, and get that conversation going at home with, and in your own mind. It doesn't have to be. I'm focusing on young people, as our first caller pointed out. It could be anybody. It could be work colleagues. It could be on a night out somewhere else where you just go to the loo and come back to your table. I mean, it could be anywhere. We really need to be aware of it. More of your calls in a moment. If you work in a club, actually, I'd love to get your perspective on this. What measures are in place to offset this, to prevent it, more to the point? It's 3:33 now. Let's get some headlines from Thomas Watts.
7 men have been jailed for the murder of a law student who died in a botched drive-by shooting. 40-year-old Feroz Suleiman had arranged the execution of a rival businessman in Blackburn, but the gunman he hired killed Aya Hatcham by mistake. Industry bodies say ministers need to develop a plan for a more comprehensive resumption of international travel. Widespread changes to the traffic light system include the removal of the Amber Plus category and a cluster of additions to the Green List. The Bank of England has left interest rates unchanged at 0.1%. Its forecast suggests UK GDP will rebound by 7.25% to pre-pandemic levels by the end of this year. The weather rather cloudy and unsettled, with showery rain across the UK this evening. Heavy rain in parts of eastern Scotland. A low of 14 degrees.
This is LBC. From the Academy Award-winning director of Spotlight.
My kid's been in jail 5 years.
The American student. Everybody thinks that I killed her.
My daughter's innocent.
Stillwater is gripping.
You're a stranger here.
Thrilling.
It's not safe for you.
Academy Award winner Matt Damon is at the top of his game.
I'm trying to get my little girl out of jail. Please.
What can you do?
You just have to trust me.
Don't miss Stillwater on the big screen.
I'm not going to give up.
Only in cinemas from Friday.
With Vodafone Evo, you can get the brilliant Samsung Galaxy S20 FE and save £298. Its pro-grade triple lens camera lets you take pro-grade shots every time. Yours today from only £23 per month plus £19 upfront with 2 gigabytes of data. Online or in store. Together we can. Vodafone.
CPI plus 3.9% increase each April. Offer ends 10th of August. Subject to device plan plus airtime plan. Credit check eligibility and terms. Saving verification and details at vodafone.co.uk. Credit by Vodafone Limited.
This is the sound of architect Bria bossing her payroll with Sage. Get payroll right every time. Boss it. Try for free at sage.com. Terms and conditions apply.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. All right. There's daily jackpots at PokerStars Casino for some sweet, sweet downtime.
Join PokerStars Casino today and get 50 free spins on sign-up. Are you in?
New casino players only. Valid on 7 slots, 7-day expiry. T's and C's apply. 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org. Play responsibly.
The Admiral and Mrs. Taylor set out on a lovely picnic in a hot air balloon. But things didn't go to plan.
Pesky seagulls, they ruined everything.
I know.
They not only wrecked my son's car with my roast chicken, but they also demolished Mum's chimney and her garden.
But you saved the day with Admiral Multicover.
Mrs. Taylor insured her family cars and homes, all at different addresses, on a single multi-cover policy. Admiral Multicover, rewardingly simple.
You've got your tickets and your passport. Now all you need is a fit-to-fly test from trusted PPE. You'll get your results in as little as 15 minutes of taking the test, plus a confirmation certificate letting you know if you're cleared for takeoff. Individual test kits are just £35 plus £4.95 postage. Order before 4 p.m. weekdays for same-day dispatch from trustedppe.co.uk. Rated excellent on Trustpilot.
You're probably not thinking of changing your cleaning contractor, but if we could offer your workplace a deep clean that comes with a decontamination certificate as standard, I bet you would. Well, now we do. Ice Cleaning can clean your workplace with electrostatic spray technology. Each month we'll issue you a decontamination certificate stating that our surface protection helps protect your surfaces for up to 28 days. For full details, visit ice-cleaning.com, the UK's cleaning experts.
Sheila Fogarty on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
The idea that, I can see why people might not report this. I can see why clubs live in fear of spiking, ending up with a reputation for spiking of drinks. But it is such an insidious, cruel, sinister thing to do, to spike somebody's drink, for whatever purposes. You absolutely have to report it, and clubs really must be on this. I'm sure many are. But that call from Jerry is still on my mind just before the break there. And what happened to her daughter also called Millie, and another Millie that we're talking about at the beginning of the programme, on spiking. Let's talk to Damien, who's called from Bedford. He's a criminal barrister. Hello, Damien.
Good afternoon.
So we know it's a criminal offence.
I didn't catch all of your early part of the conversation, but when I tuned in, it seemed to me from the conversation at the point that I started to listen that there was some uncertainty between you and the guest that you were talking to in relation to whether this was a crime. And I remember hearing you say, well, surely it must be an assault.
No, and we agreed it was a crime. What she had said, we had no uncertainty about it. She had said that some of the people she deals with don't think it's a crime, don't know it's a crime.
I see. So, okay, that must have been the point where I heard. There are at least 4 offences which cover this, and they are determined partly by what it is that is being given to the innocent party, and partly by what the intention of the perpetrator is. There is an offence in the Sexual Offences Act, which is the administration of any substance which is capable of stupefying or overpowering a person, and done with the intent to enable the perpetrator to engage in sexual activity, and of course non-consensual. This is an offence that carries a maximum penalty of 10 years. That's the Sexual Offences Act 2003. There are 3 offences in the Offences Against the Persons Act from 1861, which is where most of our violence offences are found today, largely because when people do violence on each other, it doesn't tend to change over time, and these have been well defined. The offences in the 1861 Act range from administering a poison with the intent to endanger life, administering a poison or noxious thing with the intent to injure, grieve, or annoy. And there's another one in relation to administering something with the intent to do some other offence afterwards, which of course has a lot of crossover in relation to, you spike somebody's drink because you intend to rape them and you want to render them unable to resist. These are all serious offences. 10 years for 3 of those, and the one which is on aggrieve, injure, or annoy is 5 years, which is still significant length of time in relation to violence offences. So it's well provided for. Now, whether that means that the police are adequately using these is a different question. Of course, that's a question for the police, and it's also a case of, do people really know that they have these protections? I suspect that they probably don't. We all know that somebody can't walk up to us and punch us. Do we all know that it is an offence for somebody to put something in our drink surreptitiously? Well, the answer is yes, it is.
Yes.
When it comes to noxious thing, the senior courts have decided that means something that is unwholesome. Now, this offence is used in a variety of settings, not just the insertion of substances into somebody's food or drink. When prisoners throw various bodily fluids at prison guards, that's the offence used.
Okay, and CCTV coverage, or something was actually seen and a person identified, and great if all of those things are in place, but I imagine that often they're not in place.
Given that our prisons are awash with drugs and weapons and are for people who visit prisons, whether it be legal representatives, and I've gone in that capacity, or whether it be family, the searches are thorough. It's not realistic to expect that we can keep people from taking these into nightclubs and pubs and other places like that. It's just not realistic. I don't for a moment suggest that the responsibility should be on victims to protect themselves. Of course, it's a sensible thing to do, but the correct solution to this, of course, is educating people that it is wrong to do this kind of thing, and properly addressing offenders who are caught doing this. Of course, one of the problems is I think I've already heard you identify is that some of these substances are very short-lived in the body, and so by the time a victim can get to the police and have a sample of blood taken for preservation, sometimes it can already be eliminated from the body, and that is where the problems of proof are going to come.
And of course, perpetrators know this, don't they? They know how hard.
Of course they do.
Yeah.
Of course they do. There is no perfect solution to this. Certainly, I'm very much conscious that the answer to preventing rape is not to tell girls cover up. It's not to tell girls don't go places on your own. We should have the freedom and the liberty and the safety to go about our lawful business. To go about our lawful business. The responsibility doesn't lie on victims, but unfortunately, in the real world, part of ensuring that any one of us are not the victim is to ensure that we are careful, and have a thorough discussion about that. The reason for my call was because it sounded from the midpoint of the conversation that I joined that there was some uncertainty.
Not in our minds, but you've made it really clear, which is helpful. Thank you very much indeed, Damien. Damien, a criminal barrister calling from Bedford. It is without a shadow of a doubt a crime to spike somebody's drink. Has it ever happened to you or your loved one? 0345 6060 973. At Mummy Mains, Gail Mains has tweeted me to say, my husband was on a night out with work colleagues, swapped drinks with a female in error, convinced the drink was spiked. He can't remember making his way home, had to be rescued by his parents from a bus stop, and was out of it for days afterwards. It was awful, she says. 3:45.
Coming up at 4 on LBC, Eddie Mayer.
Big announcement on vaccines. Give me your reaction. Plus, UEFA says the FA should pay the penalty for the Wembley final fiasco. Join me at 4.
Eddie Mayer on LBC.
This is Network Rail with some important news about travelling this August bank holiday. While most of the rail network will be open, some services will be affected as we work to deliver improvements across the railway. The affected days are Saturday the 28th until Monday the 30th of August. To keep your plans on track, please check before you travel.
More and more people are using My Smart Desk to make smart working even more flexible. It'll raise and lower into any sitting or standing position at the touch of a button. And now comes with built-in USB-C and wireless smartphone charge points. Pre-order with £50 off for just £399. The future is flexible at mysmartdesk.co.uk. Rated excellent on Trustpilot.
Don't miss The Courier, based on the incredible true story.
I'm just a salesman.
Of an ordinary businessman.
Just be a courier.
Turned extraordinary spy.
Just a courier. For Russian secret.
Critics are calling it a superbly tense spy thriller. Benedict Cumberbatch is excellent. The Courier, only in cinemas August 13.
With Vodafone Evo, you can get the brilliant Samsung Galaxy S20 FE and save £298. Its pro-grade triple lens camera lets you take pro-grade shots every time. Yours today from only £23 per month plus £19 up front with 2 gigabytes of data. Online or in store. Together we can. Vodafone.
CPI plus 3.9% increase each April. Offer ends 10th of August. Subject to device plan plus airtime plan. Credit check eligibility and terms. Saving verification details at vodafone.co.uk. Credit by Vodafone Limited.
Sarah's smiling because Jack the florist is open with her favourite flowers again. Jack's smiling because he's back selling flowers again. Robin's smiling because Jack's back at the wholesalers buying flowers again. All along the high street there are smiles on faces because business is looking up again. And if you're looking to upgrade your van or pickup, now's the time to do it. Take advantage of a £1,000 upgrade saving and 0% APR finance on Ford Acquire. It's 2 promotions in one, and it runs until the 30th of September. We're with you on this journey. Ford Commercial Vehicles. Search Backbone of Britain.
Model exclusions and deposit restrictions may apply. Free post-ball credit.
Switching to BT Superfast Fibre and getting a half-price TV entertainment package feels pretty good. That's a Now Entertainment membership, Freeview and AMC for just £6 a month for the first 6 months. Only when you get Superfast Fibre for £27.99 a month. For feel-good entertainment at a feel-good price, why choose anyone else? Join BT today. New customers, 24-month contracts, £39.99 upfront, ends 5th of August. CPI plus 3.9% increase each March, £47.99 for month 25. Terms apply. Now Entertainment membership RRP £9.99 a month. BT TV Entertainment £12 for month 7.
The Admiral and Mrs. Taylor are relaxing by the lake.
Oh, thanks for the latte. Just a little thank you for helping with my insurance. I bundled my son's car, my home, and my mum's cottage and saved £301.
Yeah, all your family cars and homes protected, even at different addresses.
And everyone gets a discount.
Save up to £301 on your car and home insurance with Admiral Multicover. Rewardingly simple. 10% save versus like-for-like policies November 2020 to April 2021.
There's something big going on at Tesco. Big brands at small prices. Not just hundreds of Tesco products price matched with Aldi, but lots of big brands too. So you can do a big shop and save yourself a trip. Tesco. Every little helps.
Prices checked and matched on hundreds of comparable products from GVLD stores and or online twice weekly. Prices most often found matched, excluding promotions. Selected stores excluding Express and Northern Ireland. Products and availability vary by week and store. See tesco.com/Aldi price match.
Leading Britain's conversation. LBC with Sheila Fogarty.
And Maya Howells joins me, founder of I've Been Spiked, which is described as a safe space for people to share their stories and to access information as well about the spiking of drinks. Maya, hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Yes, I'm so glad you're with us today because this really needs to be spoken about more, doesn't it? I mean, it is spoken about, but not enough, I don't think.
I don't think there's enough conversation around drink spiking and what the signs and signals are of it. We're taught to protect our drinks, not leave our drinks on the side, but I don't think there's enough discussion around it.
So, what are you told? What stories do you get?
In terms of with the campaign?
Yes,
or
yeah.
So I get a lot of, I can speak about my own personal experience in terms of the fact that I did all of the things mainly as women, but obviously anyone can have their drink spiked, that we're supposed to do. We're not supposed to leave our drinks on the side. I turned up to a venue relatively sober. I mean, I say relatively because obviously I was going out, I wanted to have a good time, but not any more than I would usually drink. I got 3 drinks at the bar. In the second that I turned my back to pass 2 drinks back to my friends, my drink was spiked, and I remember nothing after that point. And so in that situation, you're met with a lot of questions and a lot of questioning around what actually happened to you, rather than met with support. And I think that's what we really need to do, is we need to be meeting victims with support.
Do you think there's still an attitude of silly girl got drunk?
100%. I think there is, and there's the questions around what you were wearing, did you take any drugs, how much did you have to drink? And really, we should be supporting people because this situation is a really vulnerable position to be in.
It very much is, isn't it? Yeah. And what are other people telling you? Are the stories all pretty similar? You see what I mean?
There are similarities. However, drink spiking can happen to anyone at any moment. A lot of the stories that we receive at I've Been Spiked, they are happening in the clubs or at the festivals. But they can also happen at house parties or in another person's home. there's a lot of similarities, yes, in the stories, but everyone has their own individual story, if that makes sense. They're all very different.
Yes, yeah. And also the impact on that person will be different depending on that person, I suppose, won't it, as well?
100%, and depending on the repercussions of the spiking, what happens after the spiking. Because some people's stories are horrendous, depending on what happened afterwards.
Tell me what you think needs to be done. A, we need to talk about it more. B, we need clubs to do more, do we? We need all venues, not just clubs, to do more about this. Any venue where alcohol is sold or served.
Definitely. So I'm currently working to raise awareness by providing pubs, clubs, bars, venues, festivals with posters up and down the country. And these posters are similar to that as you see of the Ask Angela campaign. They give you the information.
Which I was unaware of. I was totally...
Were you unaware of it?
Yeah, completely.
Oh, okay. But hopefully these posters are eye-catching enough and they tell you the signs of drink spiking and what to do to help someone that's been spiked. Because at the end of the day, if a person has had their drink spiked, there's not much they can do in that situation. We need to look out for one another. So I think that's really important. And I think we need to make testing more available because it's so difficult to get a hold of.
Yeah, and that whole business, the barrister was telling us about the speed with which you need blood tests. I mean, the problem with that, I suppose, is that for that to be produced in evidence, it needs to be done in particular circumstances, doesn't it?
Definitely. I mean, most people, they do get spiked in a nightclub. So when it does happen, someone hopefully gets them home safe and they go to sleep it off. By the time they've woken up in the morning, the drugs have left their system. So it is really important that we make this testing more readily available. I mean, I can only speak from my circumstance. By the time I got to A&E, and I'd sat in A&E because I had physical injuries from when I got spiked, so I went to go and get those treated. By the time I got those treated, the drugs would have left my system, and the police won't investigate unless you've had a drugs test. So,
really, even though there might be CCTV footage that shows somebody approaching your drink, or if somebody can say, "I saw this man go near her drink,"
they won't. There's no record. I can only speak from my circumstance, but they would not record it at all. And even if it was something as simple as just to say, oh, this person went to this venue here and they got spiked, and just keeping even a tally chart, do you know what I mean, just of reports of drink spiking, I think that would be really important.
Because they would start to be able to see if there was a pattern that they needed to address.
Exactly. And then more things could be put in place to stop that.
And then I suppose individual, and by responsibility I mean watchfulness, somebody that creepy will always breach some kind of defence, but we have to try and be mindful against it, don't we, just as individuals?
I think we have to be mindful, of course, but I'm cautious of making especially young women particularly mindful, because I think we should all be allowed to go out and have a good time and not have to think about this 24/7.
No, I'm not suggesting. No. Honestly, I'm not suggesting it's 24/7. And sadly, it isn't just young women, but clearly they are probably a great focus. But it's not about being mindful 24/7. It's not about having anxiety about it all the time. But it is about being aware, isn't it? Because awareness, you have to be aware when you cross the road. So we need to be aware if this is a threat in bars and. I think any place where alcohol is served.
Yeah, definitely. I think especially after we've been all locked up for so long and now the nightclubs are opening, I think we need to be made aware. And the stories coming through at the moment, they're really, really sad because they're happening to such young people.
Yes.
And they haven't had that experience necessarily because they might have turned 18 in the lockdown. They haven't had that nightclub experience. So that's really like a target age group that I'm really trying to tap into.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Maya, for talking to us today. Maya Howells. Let's hear from Helen in Manchester. It happened to your son, Helen.
It did, yes. And I just wanted to point out that we do focus a lot on young girls, which is, is good, but not on young boys. Simon was 24. I have three children, 2 girls and a boy. And whilst it's been part of the general discussion, I'd never, every time the girls go out, I would say, watch your drink. And I didn't with Simon. And he was 5 minutes from home in a music venue around the corner. And I heard him come in at 2 o'clock in the morning. And I heard him go to the bathroom. And then it went quiet. And I found him very disorientated outside the bathroom, and he doesn't drink, so I knew it wasn't alcohol, and I managed to get him to bed safely, and I sat with him all night. In the morning, we pieced together he'd come in, he'd collected clean pyjamas off the kitchen table because he knew he didn't have any. He'd cleaned his teeth and then just completely disorientated. And I phoned the venue to ask about whether they'd got any CCTV footage, and they told me they didn't have a problem with drugs in their venue. And I rang the police, but by the time Simon was well enough for me to leave him and ring the police, they said it was too late and that they couldn't do anything because the drugs would be out of his system. And I just think, had he lived more than 5 minutes away from the venue, I don't think he would have made it home. And
anything could have happened to him.
Yes.
And also for the club to say we don't have a problem with drugs. It's not quite the same as a problem with drugs, is it? I mean, clearly drugs are being used here for this, but we don't have a problem with drugs would suggest, oh no, we don't have cocaine and heroin and whatever being brought in by people for their own use. But if people are secreting this stuff on themselves to harm others, then they do have a bloody problem with drugs, don't they?
And this went into a soft drink as well. We're not talking about this being covered up in alcohol. He was sober. It was a soft drink, and like I said, he was 5 minutes from home. Another 5 or 10 minutes, he would probably have collapsed in the street. Or it was closing time. So, was somebody planning to follow him home and attack him there? You just don't know.
You don't know. And how long did it take him to feel better again?
From the Saturday night until Sunday tea time, before I was comfortable that he was okay. And Simon he's on the autistic spectrum as well, so he found it very confusing. He didn't understand what had happened, how it had happened, and now every time any of them go out, I always say what she drinks.
Yeah, but I think a lot of people don't, on the autistic spectrum or not, can't work out where it happened either or why it happened, because it is so quick and surreptitious. And that's part of the problem, isn't it, with the investigation of these things. I'm so glad we did this hour. Thank you very much indeed for all of your calls, especially those parents to whom it had happened to their child, just warning about how easy it is for it to happen. And I've had some nice tweets from people as well saying, thanks for doing this. I'm going to have that conversation with my kids. But I actually felt I needed the conversation with myself as much as anybody else. But when I saw Millie's story, I just thought, God, we just don't talk about this enough. So I'm very, very glad that we have. That's it from me for today. Back at the usual time tomorrow, even though I thought it was Friday till about half an hour ago. Coming up at 7, it's Ian Dale. Maybe I need to lie down. Right now on LBC, it's Eddie Mayer.
Thanks, Sheila. It's 4 o'clock. Here are the headlines. Red list scramble to escape Mexico.
Unfortunately, now with this inexplicable situation that we now have, that everything's all up in the air, unfortunately.
NHS England says a fifth of COVID hospital admissions are aged 18 to 35 as pings fall.
It will be a relief to small businesses, particularly the hospitality industry, pubs, restaurants and so on, that have been struggling to staff shifts because so many people are being told to isolate.
7 men jailed for more than 200 years for murdering a law student.
We were able to put together all the numerous pieces of a large jigsaw puzzle and establish the motive behind the shooting and who was involved.
Also tonight, the Mound labelled London's worst tourist attraction.
On your radio, on Global Player, and
Play LBC.
Leading Britain's conversation. This is LBC.
From Global's newsroom at 4 o'clock. Industry figures say ministers need to develop a plan for a more comprehensive resumption of international travel. The government insists this Sunday's simplification of the traffic light system will allow more people to enjoy their summer breaks. Among the changes, fully vaccinated arrivals from France won't need to isolate, and Mexico and Georgia are turning red. Thousands of tourists are trying to get back from Mexico, including Guy Forbat.
Hello, mate.
We just took him.
Why didn't you empty the dishwasher, John?
Why did you not empty the dishwasher?
Listen, you've got to start doing stuff, yeah?
Yeah. Don't playing games.
34 years each for the murder of a law student.
Well, you need to do it every morning before 10 o'clock, all right? So you're going to bed earlier, all right? I'm not. Oh shit!
Was a combination of a rivalry between the owners of two car tyre shops.
Oh no!
Foreign Secretary says that this week marks a crossroads moment for the UK's relationship with Iran.
Oh my god, no! Oh my god, no!
British national Dominic Raab says there's an opportunity for Iran's incoming president, Ibrahim Raisi, to build goodwill.
No, wait,
TGB have now won 51 medals at the Tokyo Olympics. Holly Bradshaw secured the latest bronze in the pole vault after cyclist Matt Hall won Britain's 16th gold in the men's omnium. Dina Asher-Smith returned from injury to help the women's 4x100 metre relay team secure a place in the final.
What time do you need to go to bed by to get up for 9:30, John? Okay, I'll tell you then, yeah? 10 o'clock, all right?
I reckon maybe 11. Yeah, right?
Interest rates unchanged at 0.1%. It's forecast that the UK's GDP will rebound by 7.25%.
My man, you wake up and then you go
to pre-pandemic levels by the end of this year. Bank expects inflation to pick up to 4%, well above the target level. In the city, a short time ago, the FTSE 100 was down 15 at 71.07, the pound by €1.17 and $1. And the weather this evening rather cloudy and unsettled with showery rain across the UK, heavy downpours in parts of eastern Scotland, a low 14 degrees. From Global's newsroom, I'm Thomas Woods. This is LBC.
That sounded so wrong.
Welcome to the programme. After 6 tonight, are you living on the minimum or living wage? What is it like? Much more on tonight's news, including the attraction in London that's been described as London's worst. And we've also got the very latest on cladding, the cladding crisis that we talk about many times. Right now, though, let's start the programme, as we should every night, by quoting Elton John. In February, Sir Elton wrote a piece for The Guardian talking about his days touring on the continent and the importance of touring to the music business. Sir Elton wasn't just taking a stroll down the yellow brick memory lane for fun. He wanted to draw attention to a crisis facing musicians and performers and everyone who supports them on the road. His part of Sir Elton's music is one of Britain's greatest cultural exports. It contributed £5.8 billion to the British economy in 2019. It was left out of the Brexit trade negotiations when other industries weren't. Workers from some professions are still allowed to travel on business without applying for a visa, but not musicians. Either the Brexit negotiators didn't care about conditions, or didn't think about them, or weren't sufficiently prepared. They screwed up. It's ultimately down to the British government to sort it out. We need to go back and renegotiate. Sir Elton John, writing to The Guardian. We're talking about this tonight, all these months later, because there has been a change. And this hour, I want to hear from you if you're directly affected by the news. Musicians and performers from the UK will be able to tour in some European countries without needing a visa or a work permit.
I'm sorry, I don't
Many
know.
times in recent months, musicians have got in touch when they've been speaking about the effects of the pandemic on people's lives. And they've told me how tough and unpredictable things have been. And they told me many times that they felt forgotten and sidelined.
I can't.
So please, if you're one of those people, tell me now.
What is that for, sir?
0345 609773. You can text 84850.
The red one.
The bottom of the digital culture media has negotiated with 19 EU countries. So it's not blanket across the EU, 19 countries to allow musicians and performers from the UK to conduct short
There are yellows,
tours
which are a bit far.
without visas.
But they're 150 euro.
Austria, Belgium, the Czech Republic, Denmark, Estonia, Finland, France, Germany, Hungary, Ireland, Italy, Latvia, Lithuania, Luxembourg, the Netherlands, Poland, Slovakia, Slovenia, and Sweden.
What does this news mean for you? We're talking about a huge business encompassing not just the performers, but everyone who's part of any tour of any kind. People in sound, lighting, promotion, transport, the venues themselves.
It's hot today,
Let me know. 0345 6060973. Ross Patel is Chief Executive of Whole Entertainment, a music agency which looks after several artists, toured mainly in the rest of Europe. Welcome to the programme. What do you think of the news?
Yeah, thanks for having me on, and as always, your brilliant summaries kind of prior to jumping in. But I have to laugh. You know, this isn't news, and we're incredibly frustrated as an industry.
Linguini.
It feels like a bit of a spin job that's been kind of put out with this statement. This has been the situation for a while now, and as you rightly said, and as John put it, and as many of the artists and managers that get in touch with you.
We're going to Parma after we drop off, Ethan. You can go in and pick this up if you wouldn't mind, please. Pick up the soda stream, yeah. You just go to customer care, customer service desk, yeah.
Certainly not from where I'm sat with kind of touring artists. I'm still battling the same issues that I was before.
Well, there's lots to dig through there, isn't there? First of all, you saying that there's really nothing new here. So this list of 19 countries that the DCMS proudly trumpeted, what's wrong with it?
There have been, ongoing negotiations with each of the member states, but as you'll know, that each state has their own set of rules. So saying that now we can freely travel to all 19 of these countries, it's not accurate. Some of them will have their own conditions for entry, but also, 19, there's 27 countries to consider there, and some of the major countries that I thought was sensible and well-placed routing for tours are not included in there, and we still don't have answers on those countries. Taking Spain as an example, whether it's a hard-to-looking touring venue or whether we're looking at festival shows, the likes of BBC or Sonar, if we don't have answers. When we do have answers, it's increasingly expensive for any artist to enter that country, and that could mean make or break an entire tour.
This is obviously not the renegotiation that Sir Elton John and others wanted. This is, as you say, a country-by-country discussion that's gone on.
Yeah, it's exactly that. It doesn't feel as though we're any further along than where we should have been. It feels like a bit of a loose statement as far as what's actually changing, what's possible for us now, and it's disappointing.
I've had people draw my thing so many times and I never said, never was anything about
not heard, and that they were completely left out of the Brexit agreement altogether, which is exactly what it felt like when we were told in February. And this doesn't really feel like much has changed on that, which is unfortunate.
Can you give me an idea, if I wanted to organise my one-man show touring some of the countries on this list, for example, what sort of hoops would I need to jump through to perhaps perform in France, Germany and Hungary?
So now I think you are now able to tour on short-term visas where there is enough to get and there's relatively little cost on the visa side. But I think what we should factor in is the implications of Brexit that don't include just entry across the border. We need to now factor in, are you going to be able to get there? What are the cabotage issues that you might face in terms of being able to take vehicles from the UK and enter into European countries and then return? And I think these are all aspects that can get forgotten about or not included in the conversation. As with everything with music is a line that runs throughout many different parts of the industry, and it affects many different types of organisation and company that interact with it, and it needs to be looked at in a more holistic view, and I think that's the one thing that hasn't happened throughout these negotiations.
Good to hear from you. Thanks so much for being part of the conversation. Ross Patel, Chief Executive of Whole Entertainment. Joe Voddy is guitarist for Wolf Alice. You've been listening to all of that. Tell me how this chimes with you.
I want to play split music.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really important to kind of put this in a context first. So the music industry's been absolutely battered over the last 18 months, 2 years.
And I bet because
From
Among Us is
COVID,
different.
about 70% of artists recording
Among Us is like
live. And we need touring to be able to scrape back, some of the losses that we've incurred in that time. Europe is one of the biggest touring, is the biggest foreign touring.
So I feel like maybe it can.
And now we're in a situation where the barriers to entry are just huge all of a sudden. And in regards to the out, as far as I'm concerned, as far as the
it has been happening so
the
much.
FAC, UK Music that I've been speaking to today, this isn't a new agreement. This isn't a treaty. This is absolutely not new information.
Malta, 49, that means we're getting electricity here.
It's stipulated a list of 19 countries where there is currently, at the moment, the opportunity to do some
nearly 50%.
visa and permit-free touring. So there's no new information here. We haven't got anything different. And all of these 19 countries have vastly different rules. Some will allow up to 5 days, some up to 90 days. Some you have to talk to local authorities before you come in, border agencies, etc. Some you won't have to do. So it's still hugely convoluted, hugely difficult to be able to grasp from a drawing perspective. We need information. We're just not getting any of it. So it's pretty disheartening, really. And I'm sorry to sound so cynical, but this isn't anything new.
This is what I heard.
It feels like spin. It feels very underhand from our perspective.
It might be difficult to quantify this, but clearly here we have Brexit.
Now the question
is,
are we going to go through Marato or
each other?
the other
and
side?
Lots of businesses obviously are affected by
the other side.
Can you
because that way is 5 minutes slower.
And what proportion is Brexit when we think about the
Marato's
problems
a
that you
lot
and
of
others face?
Like I say, at the moment, 70% of our income and most recording artists' income comes from touring. So the last couple of years, 70% of our income across the board has been wiped away. So people have to survive. 30%, comes from streaming, which, as we know from the reports that have been happening, it barely touches the side. So it's been very difficult. Obviously artists are mostly self-employed. People that work around are mostly self-employed, have fallen in the gap between furlough and all the other schemes. So you have that in terms of COVID. And touring, like I said, Europe is the biggest market outside of the UK for UK artists. So if you take that away, how are we supposed to kind of, get back the losses we've made and, start doing proper business again? This doesn't make any sense. And, like I said before, I spoke a little while ago, this covers more than just artists or people like around the industries. We've got ridiculous situations now where, a UK haulage company can only do 3 drops in Europe before it comes home. How are we supposed to tour around Europe? How are we supposed to employ UK companies? Cutting up on those to spite our face. At the moment, split about. So they're kind of transit bands at the half, the band will sit in and drive. The other bit will put your gear, your amps and your drum kit.
There must be a problem ahead.
Maybe. At the moment, it's illegal to use it.
Because it wants us to go left.
It's a disaster. Artists.
It was a crash.
It really is.
Good to see you again. Thank you. Geoff O'Donoghue is a guitarist from Wool Palace, and both of our guests, Ross and Geoff, are right. This is
I'm not going to bother. It's similar ETA if we carry on.
Performers, musicians, and so on. But the other thing is that it affects everybody differently. And I know from the conversations we've had over the months, I remember hearing from people who were essentially single-person operations, working out of a
I went along there once when there was an accident up there.
Apply their trade and perform. And for them, this has been devastating. But there are others, the events business, all the backup that these performers require, who are suffering and have been for months. I wonder whether you are in tune with what Ross and Geoff are saying. This announcement means nothing. Tell me how you have been getting on. Are you still even in the business? Do you consider yourself a former artist, a former performer, or lighting technician, or engineer, or driver? Let me know how it is. 0345 6060 973. Big announcement from DCMS suggesting that things are going to be much easier, but two guests already saying this is a spin job. Geoff called it underhand. What about you? Text 84850 and call 0345 6060 973. Multi-billion-pound business in peril. Does this do without? 417 now. Here's Thomas Watts with the news.
7 men have been jailed for the murder of a law student killed in a botched drive-by shooting in Blackburn. Major travel firms say changes to the government's traffic light system due to take effect on Sunday don't go far enough. Latest figures show a significant fall in the number of people pinged by the NHS COVID-19 app in England and Wales. The weather cloudy with some showery rain across the UK tonight, a low of 14 degrees.
LBC Travel, I'm Anne-Marie Walsh on the M1 northbound in Derbyshire. It's queuing for 40 minutes from junction 29 at Chesterfield towards the Tipshell services as the lane remains closed for recovery work following an accident. In Cheshire, it's slow moving on the M6 southbound. That's towards an accident between junction 18 for Holmes Chapel and 17 for Crewe. And in the West Midlands, it's slow moving on the M6 in both directions between junction 6 at Spaghetti Junction and 7 for Great Bar because the hard shoulder can't open as a live lane. That's following a technical problem.
This is LBC.
No, we aren't taking any more cases right now.
Malika's legal firm needs another legal assistant before more cases pile up.
But we will be very soon.
Indeed gives Malika the tools she needs to judge a candidate's proficiency.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. With Indeed Instant Match, receive a list of quality candidates whose CVs on Indeed match your job description when you sponsor a post. To start hiring, visit Indeed.com/try today.
Call Eddie Mayer 0345 6060 973 LBC. In Dale, Monday to Thursday from 7.
You surely aren't suggesting that we should be paying people to be vaccinated, are you?
They're going to spend millions and millions of pounds on a COVID-19 card system, and they can't spend that for non-incentivised.
You can't say to a 20-year-old, we're going to pay you 70 quid to get vaccinated. What do you say to the millions of other 20-year-olds who've already been vaccinated and they haven't been paid £70 to do so? That would be totally unfair.
In Dale, on LBC.
With Purple Bricks, book your free in-home or virtual valuation.
Pay attention to the beat. No, not the sultry vibes of these sexy bongos. BEAT stands for breathless, exhausted, and sweating. Time to ask your GP for a simple blood test. Because these symptoms could be a sign of heart failure. But the sooner it's diagnosed, the better the chance of keeping the beat going. Pumping Marvellous helps people live well with heart failure. Find out more and donate now at pumpingmarvellous.org.
This summer at Talk, we've got deals that make sense. Our new Fibre Plus packages offer everything you get with our standard unlimited fibre.
You might be. By the way, these are silent. They're not silent because if you do this,
Palmer Moster. Palmer Moster.
no, stop. Ow, my man. Stop. Ruining it.
Palmer Moster.
Just you were listening the lifespan. Really? Yeah. By the way, the other one was like, stop touching my keys because you're ruining the lifespan. Actually? Yeah. And he was like, how many clicks does it have? 300 million. I was like, it actually does. Each key. My man. So I was like, oh my god, man. Stop ruining my lifespan. Thank you, I really appreciate it.
No, I'm like.
Yeah. I'm a bit scared. Thank you.
Okay, mate.
Bye
See you
bye.
later.
See you. Ciao, ciao. Ciao. I'll see you in like 3 hours. See you. Ciao. Is Mom still working?
I think so, yeah. Oh, my shopping now. There it is.
(6060) 973. Charles is called in. Charles, tell me about you. What do you do?
Oh, you got your phone, yeah? All right. Okay. All right, mate.
We just cross borders with no hindrance and take whatever equipment we liked with us.
So back in those days, what was your biggest headache? What was the stuff that used to worry you most then?
Well, just getting the van to the gig.
Just the basics. What about now?
Well, it just seems that it's a really cynical attempt by the government to try and grab the headlines to say that everything's all right. It just isn't. You know, and it's a panic behaviour because it's been occurring with all these COVID test events and stuff. Nobody ever finds out, you know, what the viability of the events are. I mean, I've arranged gigs throughout the summer where, you know, there's hundreds of thousands of pounds, like, balancing on it, and we're waiting for the government to make their mind up about whether they're going to let a festival proceed. And by the time they've made their mind up about anything, the festivals have to cancel. They just haven't got any regard whatsoever for musicians or creative industries because we don't vote for them. Simple as that.
Well, we might come on to the politics of that. Just on the practicalities of touring, what kind of touring is being done on the continent now?
Well, to be honest, not very much because, you know, it's difficult to book, like for the bands I'm working with, it's difficult even to book shows in Europe just because of all the COVID stuff. I mean, it's gradually opening up, but I've got nothing on the cards for next year when usually I'd have, you know, loads of shows to do in Europe.
And what about your musicians? What about the bands? What are they doing for money?
Well, I mean, they're all right because they've been successful in the past. You know, but I know a lot of people who've worked with me who've had to find alternative employment. I mean, I don't know. It's just really difficult. I mean, it's so annoying to try and package, you know, existing arrangements into some kind of victory over the European Union when all they need to do is just sit round a table and agree a reciprocal, you know, arrangement.
And to come to the question I was talking to Geoff Odie about, is it can you take COVID out of the equation? Let's hope for the day that COVID isn't around. If these post-Brexit arrangements stay as they are, what will your job be like?
Well, I mean, my job will be okay because I work for musicians who can afford to do it. But you know, there's other people who I know who used to just get in a band with a small band, go all around Europe, play loads of gigs, and come back again. That's just not possible anymore.
And there's all the support staff too. It's not just obviously the musicians.
Well, exactly. And a lot of the support staff have fell by the wayside, down to the COVID, I don't know, incompetence from the government. And I don't know.
And when you say that people in your business don't vote for the government, is that, I mean, some people must vote Conservative who work in your business, but you think that predominantly they don't?
Well, yeah, I do. And it's no surprise. You know, like, I work with bands from Australia and New Zealand who've managed to play, like, 30 or 40 gigs this year. You know, if Johnson wouldn't have let the Johnson variants in, then, perhaps we could have had a domestic music industry and all the festivals happening, but no.
Do you think the business is taken seriously? Do you think the industry is taken seriously?
No, I don't. I don't, and it should be. I don't think... I mean, I'm no fan of Johnson and his cable, but I just think this government's completely incompetent on so many levels. And we just see examples of it day in and day out. I mean, look at the holiday, the travel restrictions. They can't make a decision, and there's billions of pounds resting on their chaos.
And I'm looking at a tweet here from Paul in Lewisham who says, as a part-time musician, this was one of the first things I called even before the Brexit vote. Also, please mention the UK music industry is about 5 times larger than fish. Now, I take him at his word. Well, maybe. In which case, and we know all the anxiety there was about sorting out a fishing deal. So why not? Why do you think, well, I know you don't like Boris Johnson and his government, but why would a government of any political shade choose to ignore such a big business?
They just wanted to get Brexit done. They just wanted to justify one of the ridiculous slogans. I'm sorry, but it just makes me really angry.
And you and people you know are the collateral damage from that.
Exactly.
Do you know people who've just given up altogether and got out of the business?
Yeah, totally.
What are they doing now?
Well, people like delivery drivers. Somebody I know is trained to be a teacher, which is fine. People are just trying to make money how they can.
I wonder what happens to all that talent.
Well, it just goes, and we'll have to retrain people.
Charles, good to hear from you. Thanks very much. Let me know how it is for you. 0345 6060 973. So far, not a good word from anyone in the business for how the government has treated people in music and entertainment. They screwed up, says Elton John. Charles saying they've been ignored. We've heard that this announcement is just a spin job. What about you? Perhaps you're one of the people who broadest sense, and maybe now either. 45 6060 973. Right? Was this ignored? Brexit done? 0345 6060 973. 4:30 is Thomas Watson.
Travel firms say the UK's testing and isolation rules too strict. Series of changes to the traffic system. Thousands of British Mexico, which is moving to the red list on Sunday. UK's 30,000 new cases of COVID in the latest daily figures. There have been another 86 deaths in 8 days. Positive coronavirus test. 7 men have been sentenced to a total of 16 years in prison over a botched drive-by shooting in Blackburn. 19-year-old student Aya Hatcham died when she was hit by a bullet last year. Settled with across the country this evening. Heavy downpours in parts of eastern Scotland, a low of 14 Celsius.
LBC. Sorry at breakfast. Swarbrick.
Grant Transport Conservative MP.
Not on an hour, but back taking a lateral flow test.
Almost everybody already takes a PCR test. The special is to keep abreast of the latest data on this particular variant.
Why not make it mandatory?
So we know you can never do it. And so it's always a question of finding the right balance with these.
Nick Ferrari at breakfast with Tom Swarbrick. Back tomorrow morning from 7. Listen on radio and on Global LBC.
When you own a business, whether you're an IT consultant or selling
as your tech, as your life. Oh no!
Sorry, we lost.
But with Direct Line, or damaged tech replaced in 24 hours. But it's laptop. We're on busy.
Covering claim limit supply Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. Bank holidays, underwritten by Insurance Limited.
If the thought of selling your car feels like, why not sell your car like a pro at motorway.co.uk? Motorway finds your best offer from a nationwide network of very £1,000 more exchange. Sell your car hassle-free without the drama. Go to motorway.co.uk and sell your car. Motorway.co.uk. Every dog has a tail to tell. So for insurance policies as you need, visit petsinnapickle.co.uk.
Tickets, passport. Now all you need is a fit to fly test from PPE. You'll get your results in as little as 15 minutes of test. Information certificate letting you know you're cleared for takeoff. Tests for £116, including order before 4 p.m. days for same-day dispatch.
Is your car telling you the truth about its emissions? Millions of diesel vehicles could be producing much higher levels of pollution than claimed. If you've owned or leased a diesel vehicle, you could be owed thousands of pounds in compensation. Visit diesel.com to find out more. Lead Aid can only act for you if your vehicle was purchased or leased in England or Wales.
With Vodafone Evo, you can get the brilliant Samsung Galaxy S20 FE and save £298. Its pro-grade triple lens camera lets you take pro-grade shots every time. Yours today for only £23 per month plus £19 upfront with 2 gigabytes of data, online or in store. Together we can. Vodafone.
CPI plus 3.9% increase each April. Offer ends 10th of August. Subject to device plan plus airtime plan, credit check eligibility and verification and details. Vodafone.co.uk. Credit by phone.
On LBC.
Sage. Get your business taxes right first time.
Lots of headlines today about an announcement from social media and sport. Negotiating 19 deals with EU countries to allow musicians and performers from the UK to conduct short tours visa-free after many months of complaint from so many people in the business, including, as we reported, Elton John. So far, nobody on the programme's had a good word to say about it. And I mean people who are at the sharp end of this, in the heart of the music and entertainment business. What about you? 0345 60973. This is in Canning Time. Hi, Lewis, tell me what you do.
I'm a musician. I run a studio, I run a band, I teach music. I do whatever I can music, really. That's my main job.
And how have things been?
Things have been sort of up and down. A bit down for us because we was on the up, but I think it's even been filled out a little bit.
Well, tell me why.
Because, like, so some stars, for example, some people didn't even do them, so they created, and then they put it on, and now they've got more time to do.
Tell me.
Our band, am I allowed to say the name of the band?
Of course you are.
Oh, we are Dishy Tangent.
Dishy Tangent?
DISHYTANG.
Whose idea was that?
The
name, I mean.
Yeah, it was an Xbox default name, to be honest. And I thought that sounds good, and then I looked up, thought, yeah.
Okay, Dishy Tangent. How long's Dishy Tangent been going?
About 7 years now.
And who's in it?
Me, frontman, Lewis Bowers. I've got Wayne Maynard on the guitar, Jason Ever on the drums, bass, and Fitzroy Mackay on the key.
The drums or rent them?
He owns them. We've got a drum kit at the studio as well. He's also by Mapex.
Bless him. Across you?
No. So we've done a lot of them which got cancelled. But I've got good connections in people, but obviously I think that's going to be a bit of a problem now.
And what are people in your business, when you talk about the music business, it's clearly a huge part of your life, Lewis. What has COVID and what has Brexit for touring people done?
Well, the COVID it's completely turned everything upside down. So people are investing a lot of money and taking a lot of big risks, and now there's no for their insurance or anything. So
It's a line to get into Palma.
What's your band going to do?
Okay. You got your mask, haven't you?
Well, we're mainly about the music. Carry on making music.
I'll wait here for you, all right?
In the lockdown, have been socially distanced.
Not here. Been moved on, and just phone me, yeah? You're coming to pick up the, what's it called? Mix, something? Steam, I don't know. Eh? Yeah, no, nothing to pay. It was repaired under warranty, or else you're getting a new one or the other.
Yeah, so I just tell them I'm paying to pick up the service fee.
Yeah. Can you get out all right there? Yeah.
A dishy tangent, I mean.
Yeah, we do covers. Our most requested one, and that's more rap, because I rap and things.
Okay.